We are live for Inspire, Innovate, and Ignite Conversations That Count. I have a question for you. Have you ever questioned your abilities, even when others seem to praise them? Have you ever kept your talents and your gifts hidden because you felt like they didn't measure up and you didn't want to come across as a fraud? Well, if you answered yes, then you are certainly not alone. Since the first article on imposter syndrome back in 1978, many people have felt inadequate or doubtful of their abilities. And it's interesting that it's mostly found among high achievers who are driven in most areas and yet hide their truth. It might also be experienced by those who feel pressured, always having to prove themselves to others, or that have to justify their actions, or get caught in this perpetuating cycle of perfectionism and procrastination. And what you may not realize is that what's actually holding you back is you. You thinking that your ideas might be too idealistic or grandiose that you don't even feel worthy of sharing them. You may think that you need more credentials or training, or you're missing something to be able to get it out there and to put it out there into the world. But imagine if every author, speaker, podcaster, TV show host didn't put themselves out there. We wouldn't have the shows, we wouldn't have the experiences, we wouldn't have the motivational, inspiring, innovative role models that we aspire to be, right? Imagine what would happen if none of us put our gifts out there. It would create a tremendous disservice to keep holding yourself back. So it's really time to overcome imposter syndrome. And these panelists are going to share what you can do to actually feel comfortable and confident to really step into your greatness. Today on our panel, we have Deb King, who is an award-winning coaches coach and promoter of conscious businesses uplifting humanity. We have Kevin McNee, who is a transformational coach and mentor helping high-achieving men to break free of their limitations, connect to their inner wisdom, and create impact through heart-led leadership. We also have Lisa DePanthelis, who is an intuitive mentor, a facilitator and strategist who's internationally recognized in the world of business, online marketing, and awakening consciousness. We have Tibor Brown, the owner of 2 successful businesses, and who has developed a framework that is changing the motivational speaking industry by implementing action for your audience. And I'm Jennifer Regular, the Soul Illuminator at Lighting the Path, specializing in helping visionaries illuminate their path of positive impact so they can leverage their time and energy to lead others in a meaningful way, and that becomes life fulfilling. That's 5 amazing innovators that are here to inspire you today to ignite your passion. And you know what? The way I see passion, when you break up the word, it's pass I on. And that I is your soul's expression of what you're here to pass on in this lifetime. And yet so many of us aren't ready to do that. And I'm curious today about what our panelists have to say about why individuals may feel uncomfortable about sharing their gifts. So let's get this conversation started, shall we? Kevin, hello, welcome. And I am so excited that you're here helping men with their limitations, which is such a vulnerability and a strength to be able to even admit that those exist. And I'm curious about what you think holds men back, or anybody in general, from sharing their gifts and their talents and their abilities. What do you think it is that holds them back?
Well, there's a lot, but I think it boils down to one thing. And by the way, thank you for having me on here, Jennifer. And it's a pleasure to be on here with all of you amazing coaches, mentors, healers. The number one thing is fear. It's fear of judgment, fear of opinions of others, fear of actually having what we were taught and conditioned to believe be true. And this is one of the things that, that I've recognized in my own experience with imposter syndrome is, what if I'm actually not good enough? And what if I am unworthy and unlovable? What if I'm, not, what if it actually proves to be true that I am all of those things? It's the fear of that belief and the conditioning and, everything that we've been taught as men, and you know, I will generalize all of us together. Yeah, what if that was to be true, and the fear of that potentially being true, definitely in my own experience has been a, you know, one of the reasons why I've held myself back from sharing those gifts.
Yeah, those dang what ifs, you know? And where does that come from? Yeah, it comes from the fear. And one of the things that I learned too in building the business, that building our brand is really an act of service and not an act of ego. And yet ego wants to protect itself, right? And I know, Lisa, that you work a lot in marketing and helping people to awaken consciousness. And so I'm curious what you have to say about that. What is it that keeps us from actually sharing our gifts and abilities and being
Yeah,
of
well,
service?
thank you for asking that question. I think it's a super important, and I love what Kevin said. Yeah, it is fear, but it's also lack of clarity. And I think what people don't realize is that we come into this world with a mission already, with a calling already, and we're here to remember what that is. And every lesson that we go through, and we go through lots of lessons, and they're not fun, most of them, especially when you think back to your childhood, when you're super impressionable, and there's things that provoke us into remembering what we're here for. Those traumas that we experience are our gifts. Those are what we're here to learn and gain wisdom, because they are what helps us rise up into who we're here to become. But it's a double-edged sword, right? Because those traumas are what makes us fearful of the judgment, because we've probably been teased and we've been misfits and we've been, all these things that are labels, but that's what we're here to step through. So when fear is there, it's like that is calling you forward. So imposter syndrome is just that resistance to stepping into the truth of who you are.
Oh, I love that. The resistance. Yes. And then when we can actually accept who we are here to become and what we're here to do, then we can really step into that. But it takes a lot. It's definitely a process and a practice, and it takes a lot of courage. And Steve, I know you work with innovators. You're an innovator yourself. You're a dominator, and you talk about motivation. It's kind of gone tired. And innovation takes a lot of courage. It's going through that resistance and what people think, because it's never been done before either. So then
Absolutely.
who are we to put this out there, right? So I'm really curious about what your opinion is on all of this.
Well, I think you said it. You hit the nail right on the head. It's something that is unmarked territory. So you don't really have a blueprint, especially when you're starting off with something brand new giving the world something brand new. So you don't have anybody to kind of follow in the footsteps or even ask the questions on how to, or when you get stuck, you don't know who to turn to. So I think it's the fear of succeeding, but succeeding by yourself. And another way of saying that is just kind of you're just out there in the sea by yourself. And so the fear of success can kind of stifle us as well. Because if I succeed, who else can I rejoice with? Who else will understand where I'm at? So I mean, I think there's so many limitations as far as the fear, but I think it's the fear of succeeding, because if you've never seen anybody succeed in this and you actually do, that can kind of hold you back as well.
Absolutely. It's like flip sides of the same coin, right? Is it really the fear of failure? Is it the fear of success? I think that's such an important point to bring up. And Deb, you're the coach's coach. So I mean, a good coach will have their own coach, which means that we don't have all the answers. We're not like super beings that don't have any fear, don't have the resistance, so there's obviously something that we're always developing within ourselves too, to put ourselves out there. So what do you see showing up that holds people back the most?
Well, there's a ton of things that certainly has gotten in my way. So this is a topic very close to my heart, and I see it in nearly probably every coach. But yeah, all the things of the not enoughness and perfectionism and comparison and judgment and fear and things that have been already shared. two of the things I know that also got in my way, because all those things, we can still take action while we're feeling the doubt and all that, right? But two of the things I know that were really big for me and still can get in my way is I find it very unattractive when people are really in their ego. So I really valued being humble. And so that has been a major thing to get in. It has been in the way of really me kind of sharing myself in a big way. And the other one is, I think for me and many people, we forget what comes easy to us doesn't necessarily come easy to everyone else. So we don't actually value the thing that we're really like kind of got this massive genius in. So yeah, so that forgetting, like, because things that come easy to us are not, there's plenty of people it doesn't come easy to, and really understanding we need to value ourselves. So I think those things have been certainly something gets in the way for me and many of the coaches we work with. So
Yeah, definitely. And the comparison is definitely a big one, and not valuing ourselves the most. I remember when I was like first starting out, which I'm still fairly new and I'm always learning. But when I was still starting to go into these networking groups and I was hanging out in these breakout rooms with some really interesting to me famous people, that have been on stages with names that I was all googly eyed over, like Jack Canfield and Wayne Dyer and Les Brown, and like, oh my gosh, like, what am I doing here with them? What do I have to offer, right? And we offer who we are. Like, we can only offer that. Nobody else can, but we glorify others and we honor others. We have such a high respect and regard for others. And what if we can turn that around and have the same kind of honor and respect for ourselves and really step into that sovereignty, or as being sovereign beings and doing what we came here to do and becoming who we came here to be, and not being afraid of that, not being afraid of our own power, and the humble kind of power, right? Being of service, not like trying to be the famous person, but being the person who can have impact, who can make a difference, who can stand in the truth of who they are. And that's where I think confidence can get kind of tricky sometimes, because there's like the arrogance or the self-righteousness or the know-it-all, but then there's people too that come from an inner knowing, that come from wisdom and insights, and just want to be able to share that with everybody and get really enthusiastic about it all. And so that can be contagious too, because people want to be in that energy. And I find that amongst visionaries in particular, it's the energy and passion that has the most impact, not so much the knowledge. So all this idea that we need the credentials and the training and have to perfect everything to really be ready is kind of a false sense of security. All we really need to do is really step into who we are. And for me, the imposter seems to be more about shame. That's the real imposter. Shame of not living our potential or doing something that's not true to who we are, that's not really aligned. A lot of us have spent time in careers and roles that didn't really fit, that didn't really suit us, and I see so many people moving now from corporate into calling, only because now they've had that security for a while, it wasn't fulfilling, and now they want to be able to serve in a bigger way. Now they've come to know themselves more, they've experienced more of life, and it's really more about, I think, just coming to know ourselves really well and really embracing that power and the potential that's there, and then having the courage to go out and do it, right? That takes a lot. So I'd love to hear from each of you too, like how you are helping others boost their confidence, boost their self-esteem, so that they can really step into who they came here to be and do what they came here to do. So Lisa, what do you think?
Yeah, well, I think I mentioned already the clarity, and I think clarity is really important, because we are always evolving. Like we are, that's our path, that's our journey, right? Is to evolve and to become who we're here to be. And so clarity along the path is really important. And when you have clarity and a deep inner knowingness, like you spoke of, Jennifer, where you absolutely know that you are on the right path, you absolutely feel it, then that confidence and courage is not such an issue. The self-esteem is not such an issue because you have that knowingness pulling you forward. And I work with my clients in getting clarity, and part of what I do is help reflect to them their unique genius. And when they can see that, then they have that inner knowing, and then they get the clarity, and then they can move forward. I think we have to be able to, as we're evolving, gain the wisdom and walk the talk so that we can share from our wisdom. Then you don't have that imposter syndrome, that the comparison thing, because it is you're sharing your wisdom from your own path, from your own journey. So I think that's what I want to say about that. And we have everything. We are born with everything within us to share the wisdom. As long as we walk our authentic path, we can share that wisdom, and it's valuable to others.
Thank you so much. And Tiba, how do you boost confidence in others and their self-esteem to really get them to step up?
I have to agree with Deb. Sometimes you don't know if what you're doing is the right thing. So it's really about just kind of touching it and making sure that it feels good. And sometimes it doesn't. You don't even know if that's your purpose. Just for myself, I will tell you, I just love filling in the gap. If I see a need and no one else is doing it, I definitely want to penetrate that and take it over. That's just what I do. But as far as for me, I didn't just outright know what I was created to do. A lot of people don't, because you go through hell and you think maybe I'm just nothing because, I'm going through hell. You can kind of see that as your circumstance, and then it takes up your life. But for me, it was a lot of touching what nobody else was touching. It was a lot of uncertainty, and then being asked to be in a room where I felt like I wasn't qualified, until someone said, well, you probably feel like you're not supposed to be in this room. And honestly, you're not. So find out why you are. So I think it's kind of hearing other people's words, and you can either take them as an insult, or you can take that to elevate to the next level. And so I think that boosts my confidence, because if someone is telling me that I shouldn't be there, why did they believe I shouldn't be there? And why am I here? So I think you just have to look at your life circumstances. And I heard someone say, the trauma of the life circumstance, but you can look at that trauma as either a chaos or an opportunity. And I think if you're looking at it as an opportunity to grow, that will boost your confidence wholeheartedly.
Love that wholehearted commitment to walking the talk and learning and growing and elevating and engaging with life and with each other. And like you said, the why, why or why not? So I think that's a really good question to tap into too, because then that taps into the drive, right? And what keeps you moving forward and keeps you going despite, outward obstacles, seeming limitations, any of the things that we tell ourselves, or that deer caught in the headlights kind of feeling, that where the light's shining too bright and we don't know how to handle it. So yeah, knowing our why too. I think that was a good point. Kevin.
Yeah, I think Tiba and Lisa both touched on some amazing points. And one thing that I connected to through that is that inner wisdom, like Lisa mentioned, and tapping into that. And that's where one of the things that I help people connect to is their heart. That inner wisdom. And there's so often, and I'll speak for myself, I get stuck in my head, overthinking, trying to figure everything out and have an answer and a solution for every problem that potentially could happen, and then stall out and even starting because I'm blocked. In the book, The Four Agreements, it refers to it as mitote. And it's like, I think of that as like a helmet of like all of this noise and whatever. Just a matter of like taking off that helmet and connecting to our hearts and going, what is it that's in there? And what are we feeling? And what is it that we truly want? And when you can find that out, like Lisa spoke to as well, you become clear. And when you can connect to that heart and that clarity, confidence is just almost like an automatic result of that. And it may not even make sense to anyone else. It may not, it may look like the most asinine thing that you've ever done. And again, that was my own experience, but doing it and actually facing it just helps you become more weathered and resilient, and just like a practice, no different than, working your biceps in the gym. You just get stronger, and that creates confidence and courage and, inner and outer strength.
Yeah, and it's all practice, right? And like you say, you just keep going and you keep training yourself to be able to do it and become stronger and develop the inner strength, and that confidence is just a byproduct of that. And as you say, sometimes we delay things, and it reminds me of that perpetual cycle. We can get into perfectionism and procrastination, right? We won't go out there until we perfect it. And yet, like Deb said, like perfectionism can actually repel people too, right? We're suspicious of people who seem to have it all together or perfect, or have these high standards that we're not even comfortable being around because we don't feel that we measure up, and so being able to be humble in that, but not get caught up in the procrastination where we don't put ourselves out there either, or try to get there before we can put it out there, and get all stuck in this cycle that's really just a hole that we dig ourselves into, and then we're trying to find our way out. Deb, I'm curious what you have to say.
Well, I love what everyone shared, and one of the things that has been a real journey for myself and my business partner since 2020, when we started our business, and we help people who are coaches and healers and those who have wisdom and a calling to help others, that building a business in this space is different to the traditional business training. And we've created a model that is actually very much about every step of it helps if we call everyone a coach, help them embody their value. So starting with helping them with some really cool ways of unpacking their wisdom. And once they start that, they kind of are blown away by how much wisdom is actually inside them, and then helping them turn that into a visual model so it's really positioned powerfully. And then how they talk about how they talk to their audience so that connects and actually is what their audience wants to buy, and then delivering a program that actually gets results for their clients. All of that, and going through that as the way we teach it, is continually having them own their value and really letting go of all the imposter and the doubt and all the stuff, because there is this clarity of value that they bring. And it's a very cool process. So that is sort of our model is called the Bullseye Express, and it's totally designed to have that success that in a way that actually works for coaches and healers and wisdom teachers.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have a couple of people with us in the Zoom room today, and I'd love to give them also an opportunity to talk or ask questions or hear what's been resonating, or what's been like an aha moment for you, or what your takeaway is so far in this conversation. So I'd love to open up for you if you want to come on camera or use your voice or put something in the chat. And also anybody that's watching us, I know this is being live streamed on multiple platforms right now, so we'd love to hear about your comments as well. There's someone that's watching those, so we'll be able to respond to that. So I just want to put that invitation out there that we'd love to hear from you too. I know that everybody is in the place where we want to be seen and heard and understood, and yet we emotionally fear it at the same time. And that's all part of like the so-called symptoms of imposter syndrome. And so I'm really interested to hear what holds people back. What are you telling yourself? Or is it that you're trying to live up to other people's expectations? Is it that you're feeling like you need to live up to the person that everybody has always known you to be? I know when I was doing some career changes along the way, people always saw me in the role that I used to have and had trouble adjusting to who I am now. Or even our families, right? As we grow older, they still see us as a little kid and start relating to us that way. Yeah, Kevin's like, So, it's hard for people to adjust to different ways of being. And yet as an entrepreneur or a visionary or an innovative speaker and so on, that we change a lot. We're multisensory beings having multidimensional lives, and we have multiple passions and multiple purposes. And so we can get stuck on the idea sometimes of finding our one life purpose, but everything in our life serves a purpose. And so it's okay, to change routes or change course or to change roles. And that's one of the things I realized, is that I wanted to move out of the role to role way of relating and connect more soul to soul. So I love that I'm sitting in this room here with some really heart-centered, soul-centered people, amazing individuals. And I'm curious about what kind of advice you've been given that wasn't good advice, like the worst advice that you've ever been given. I'd love to hear that. And also the best advice that you've ever gave. Sometimes we don't know what the biggest impact is. Like, we could think that we're saying something really profound, and yet it's something really simple that someone remembers that we don't remember saying, that had the greatest impact. So I'm really curious what's come back in terms of the advice that you've given and the worst advice that you've received. Lisa.
Thank you. Yeah, well, I think the worst advice that I've been given is to work hard and figure it out. Like Kevin was saying, it doesn't come from the head. Our journey is a journey of the soul. And when you try and figure it out, all you're doing is going through the files of what you've already learned. You're not accessing the information that's out there that's available to us all. So what I also want to say is our purpose is to be love. Our mission is different. Our mission in life, our calling in life is unique to us, and it's based on our experience. And that's what we're here to share. That's the impact that we're here to do. That's our value, that we get tripped up in this imposter syndrome is that when we look outside of ourselves, we disempower ourselves. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't have coaches and mentors. That's so important to help you have clarity and to see you, to reflect, to give you permission to be yourself and to step further into, your calling. But the key is to connect within and connect to your higher power, to your higher self, to access all that is, because that's where the gems are. That's where the all-knowingness is. And that's where you get to access the time freedom that you want. When you're constantly pushing and forcing and trying to figure out, you're caught up in the busyness, and then you get caught up in like, my worth is my productivity, and then you stop playing and you stop having freedom. And I see so many entrepreneurs get stuck in that cycle. And the best advice that I've been given and that I've received is to do my practices that help me connect in daily, to do my walks, to do my energy work, to do my channeling, to do all of those things that make me who I am, so I can show up in the energy and give of myself, my energy, my frequency to those people. That, I think, is the best advice I've been given.
Yes, I love that, Lisa. And I hear the passion in that too. And Kelly, one of the guests in our Zoom room today, says that she's definitely resonating with the panelists and shares that she lived up to what society thought is considered success, and along the way forgot who she was and what she wanted. Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I bet other panelists here can too. And now she's saying that she lives with purpose, passion, and presence, the 3 Ps. I love that. Thank you so much for that comment, Kelly. And Tiba, what was the worst advice you've ever been given and the best advice?
The worst advice, I thought about that question when you asked it, but the worst advice I think I have ever given was any advice that I have given to deaf ears. I think because it brought frustration with me when I didn't see it play out, or that they just took it, because I give myself, I give my experience, I give my knowledge, I give my wisdom. And if I'm casting my pearls among people who aren't listening, that's the worst advice I can ever give. Because it just frustrates me because I gave them my best. And so I would definitely say any advice that I have given, and I'm going to use my daughters as an example. I give them my experiences. I pour out so much, and to see them do the exact opposite, I have to take that as that was terrible advice or get terrible advice that I've given them, or yeah, because I expect my daughters to get it. But if they don't get it, then I will kind of look internally on some advice that I've given. The best advice that I've ever got was from the CEO that I sat next across from him talking about a business deal. And he said, "You're not supposed to be in this room." That sparked me. And I said, "You are right, I'm not. But now you have to deal with me." So I think that was the best advice because that sparked my passion, my purpose. And it also let me know I can go against CEOs being not having a college degree, not having what corporate should say I should have to even enter the room. So with him saying that to me was the best advice he can give.
Love that. Yes, so good. Kevin, what's the best and worst advice?
I've got a lot of bad advice. one of the one that came up for me, honestly, and this, I don't know if this is a popular or unpopular one, but I was told happy wife, happy life. And that advice, I actually, I didn't even realize that I took it to heart. And not only did I take it to heart in my marriage, but I also took it to heart in all aspects of my life, and ended up just being this people pleaser, nice guy, doing everything for everyone, and doing it in a way where I thought that I was just trying to be nice. And what was happening was I was actually doing it as a way to get my own wants and needs met, that I didn't even know what I was doing. And when it didn't happen, then I became frustrated and resentful and angry. And then it showed up in all other areas of my life. So I will say it was the happy wife, happy life kind of like advice that I was given, that I kind of like took to heart in all areas of my life. But to go back to the advice that I was given, that was the best piece of advice that I've ever given, is back to that heart. Listen to your heart, and it will never ever guide you the wrong way. And I've went against it so many times in my life, and it literally boots me in the ass every single time within a heartbeat. So, I had to start listening eventually, but it might be a slow learner.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Deb.
It was interesting to think about what is the worst advice, especially around the topic of imposter syndrome. And I would say I've given myself the worst advice, which is not reaching out for help, thinking that I can't reach out or I need to do it alone. So that was shit advice. And then best advice when it comes to this, and Lisa's mentioned the word clarity a lot. Clarity is power. And when we're in doubt or feeling like an imposter, or I'm feeling like that, I think one of the best things to get clarity is move my body and like get out of my head and as Kevin said, into my heart. So whether that's breathing, dancing, whatever it needs to be, to get really present and find the next step, the next piece of clarity, and break it down into small steps so that we just get, when we're really, really present, there's like no issues. There's no confidence issues. There's no, like, nothing really is a problem. We're making it a problem when we're in our head and we're not being fully present. So for me, clarity is power. That it's when I'm not feeling confident or an imposter, I'm probably in my head being confused. So it's like, okay, let's get back into my power, back into my heart, back into just presence, and all is well.
I love that. Yes. And so, as I mentioned earlier, if, everyone just held themselves back, we'd have nothing. We wouldn't have any books or shows or things to listen to, or, you know, people to aspire to, or to motivate us, inspire us. So it's so important for people to get their gifts out there, to be serving in their way, and to really step into the truth and live life more fully and be able to walk in authenticity and integrity. So I'd love to hear from each of you, like the number one piece of advice or a tip or tool or strategy or experience that you would give someone to really overcome imposter syndrome. So Kevin, let's go for you first.
Ooh, a surprise question. I like it. Yeah, I would say, you know, the number one piece of advice that I would give to somebody is, you know, asking that question of why. The number one thing that we can do is just ask ourselves why. Why are we doing what we're doing? Why are we saying what we're saying? Why are we acting and reacting the way that we're acting? And then honestly give the answers that come up. You know, dig deep, you know, tap into that. You know, like Deb said too, I'm a firm believer in connecting through breath and getting present, fully present. And that's where all the answers lie, that we have them. So it's a matter of asking the right questions and being honest and giving the honest answers. And that's, you know, that's where it was for me. So that's what I will always say is the number one thing is ask yourself why.
Ask yourself why. Love that. Tiba, what would you tell someone is the answer to overcoming imposter syndrome?
Well, the imposter syndrome all starts in your brain. So I would say, because the brain is full of creativity and it's limitless, don't create your own limits. And let your brain walk into the room first before your feet will, because your body's going to reject it. Your body's going to say, no, I don't want to do it. So just go in there. Don't let it create your limits. And act like, even if you feel like you shouldn't be in the room, act like you belong in the room. Like you've sent out the invitations, whatever it is, you act like you own the room, and do it without fear. Put on that show or the game, whatever you want to do. And then the confidence will come, but play the part first. When in Rome, act like the Romans do.
I love that. Play the part, but then, yeah, really own the stage, own the room. Love that. Really step into it. And that reminds me too of, you know, follow your heart and take your brain with you. Like follow along. Yeah. Who are you putting first? What are you putting first? Lisa.
Yeah, well, I'll just say, you know, about 10 years ago, I was still working in my corporate job, and I wasn't where I wanted to be. So I think a lot of people listening probably aren't exactly where they want to be. And that's where the imposter syndrome comes in. It's like, I want to be here and I have to, you know, fake it till I make it or whatever. And I remember just saying to myself, you know what, I'm just going to use the skills that I have and practice here at work. And I did. I showed up and I practice mentoring as I would in my business to the people that I was working. And at first they thought I was a little weird, because it's like, you know, it was different than the medical field that I was in. But they loved it. They loved the personal attention. They loved interacting at an authentic level. And it helped me gain clarity in what my skills were, what my strengths were, what I wanted to do. And that helped me move forward. So I would say, just practice where you are, be where you are. Sometimes in your life, there's a path where you're just meant to influence those people around you. Maybe it's just your friends and your family. Do your best to be your authentic self and be who you want to be now. Like, don't wait, because that doesn't help you gain clarity and move you forward. Do it now in your immediate environment. So that's what I would say.
I feel like such like a softening as you speak about that, because it really creates acceptance over resistance, and then just releasing that pressure valve, you know, just be where you are and just start where you are. I love that. Deb.
Yeah, I love all these. I totally agree of get into action, do it now. And sort of, as Tiba has referred to in the earlier conversations around just try it on, feel it, like have a go. And I feel like it's just about really letting go of the judgment, like treating ourselves the way we would our best friend or someone we love. The advice we give to them is always the best advice, and it's likely we would be encouraging them to go for it, right? And so to treat ourselves that way without the judgment, life is short, we might as well go for it. And when we're in action, that's when we get more feedback, more wisdom, and then we can take the next step from there. I think typically I have judged myself so harshly. It's been such a big thing, and I'm making up whether it's good, bad, right, wrong, and much harsher than anyone else is looking. And it really doesn't matter in the big picture. It really doesn't matter. So I think it's really about going for it without judgment.
Totally, without judgment, without shame, without fear or the obligation or the guilt or any of the things that we think, we need to, that are external influences or expectations that we feel we need to live up to. And for me, the antidote to imposter syndrome is really stepping into your spiritual sovereignty, just really getting into that innate wisdom, the capacity, the potency of who you are and what you have. So really invoking your passion. And like I said, passion is that that you're here to pass on in this lifetime, that soul's expression. So really speaking from your heart, living your soul purpose, and being able to, no matter what kind of role you have, or through parenthood or being a friend or any of the roles that we take on, it's an expression of who we truly are at the soul level. And so I see that as really being the antidote to imposter syndrome, and really surrounding yourself with the people who make you feel not less than, who uplift you, who boost your confidence, who love you and praise you and feel your comfort and know you. It's that spirit that lives on long after you die, the part of you that really connects. I've been to a lot of funerals, and so I hear people talk a lot about the people that have passed on in terms of their spiritual essence, right? The relationship, the traits, the character, the experiences they had with them, who they were when they were around them, what they got to experience when they were with them and out doing those kind of activities. And even if they're adversaries or enemies or people that really triggered us, they still taught us so much in our lifetime. So that's what I like to think about in terms of spiritual sovereignty, is that spiritual essence, that energy, that expression, that no matter who we do, that gets expressed through that. And so in Sacred You community, there's so many opportunities for that. There's so many tribes that offer these incredible times in your day that you can tap into who you are and what's blocking you, and what's triggering you, and what will uplift you and empower you. There's all kinds of ways of learning more about your human design, your creative expression, how to become more empowered. There's just so many levels of spirituality, holistic practices, and well-being that's offered at sacredyou.love. And being able to even try it out for 14 days for just $1 is totally worth it. And even if you wanted to continue and actually become a member, it's only $20 a month. And that's something that all of us have been a part of in some way. We get to speak on panels, we get to go to the tribe meetings, we get to connect with other like-hearted individuals that are on the path too. And I think that's really important, that when you're wanting to boost your confidence, when you're wanting to be able to serve in a bigger way, when you're growing your capacity to share your gifts and what you're here to do, then you need people around you that are going to help sustain that kind of energy, that vibration, to keep you going. So I highly recommend that you connect with each one of us and with the Sacred You community as well. There's going to be information about that all in the comments. Some of it's in the chat as well. And so I'd love to go around just so you can get a little bit more information about what each of the panelists are offering in their work and how you connect. So Kevin, do you want to share about what you do and how you help?
Yeah, my number one mission when I first went, and I love the term corporate to calling. I'd actually hadn't heard that before. So when I kind of went from corporate to calling, my mission was to help men, help men become better men, because here I am, one man surrounded by women, which is amazing. But where are all the men? And I mean, I'm not sure who can see who's on live, but it's to help raise the collective consciousness of men and create a consciously aware community of men that are here to do the work and heal themselves and be the conscious leaders that they're meant to be, the masculine leaders that they're meant to be, and truly lead. And I had an Akashic Records reading one time, and what came up for me was I'm the warrior of the heart, and that's what I believe. And I started a men's group called the Heart Warriors, and I'm growing that group as well as my mission, and speaking more here to try and help men open up and let their walls down and become those conscious masculine leaders that we're meant to be, that all of the the women and the children and everyone are craving for us to be. So.
And how can they connect with you, Kevin?
I do most of my stuff is on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So all three of those. Kevin McNee, Warrior of the Heart on Facebook, and then the Heart Warriors men's group on Facebook, as well as an online community where we get together, twice a month. And then I also have the Warrior Within Collective, which is a private membership where we gather every week. It's a monthly membership, and we gather every week to do actual coaching, mentorship, and group work together.
That's awesome. Awesome. So those links are going to be in the comments as well. And Tiba, what are you offering and how people can connect with you?
Well, you can definitely connect with me on any social media. I use my Facebook the most, but any social media you can get a hold of me. I believe my handle on all of them except LinkedIn is Tiba Brown Speaks. On LinkedIn, it's Tiba Brown. But what I do, I go into corporations, organizations, and institutions, and I dismantle hostile environments. How many times have you been in a corporation or organization and an institution, and maybe someone had a suicide attempt, and you're like, I would never thought she did it. So basically what I do is I go in there and I dismantle. I talk about the hard stuff, and then we go outside and we destroy some sugar honey iced tea, as my kids would say, in our portable rage room. So that's what I do. I want to say that's what I do, but I also own a security company where we employ officers. And that's actually where where the innovation of the dismantling, because I would hate for one of my officers to just go on a rampage in one of our facilities with, they're all gun carrying. So I don't want them, I want them to be okay. I want them to mentally be okay. Even if home life isn't great, I want you to be okay. I want you to be able to get your frustrations out. And that is why we did that. But I guess on the other side of that, I have been contracted with a lot of women organizations to go in and reintroduce the lady back into society. You haven't noticed, a lot of the women are not ladies anymore. I think the feminine edge is dismantling. It's just going away. So Kevin, I definitely thank you for your work. We as women don't just say thank you enough to work with the male population. So I definitely honor you. And I'll have the women's side. I'll definitely go in there and talk about the hard things. We just had a Mommy and Me conference where mommies and daughters over the age of 13, because it was PG-13, we just talked about the stuff that you're not supposed to talk about, from incest to prostitution, drugs, all that between mothers and daughters. So we purposely did that. So yeah, like I said, if you need to contact me, I'm on any social media with Tiba Brown Speaks. You can also go to my website, which is tibabrown.com, and get me there.
Awesome. Thank you, Tiba. Amazing work that you're doing. Thank you so much. Lisa, what would you like to share?
Yeah, so well, I think what I'd like to share is I help women, mainly I work with women, and I help them rise up through clarity to their unique zone of genius. And And I like to say I help them harness their magic, because I love magic and I believe that we're here to be magical and that we all have magic within us. And I like to work in 3 areas. I business success, relationships, and personal freedom, because those are all so important as you are navigating your spiritual path. It's hard sometimes to have balance in all of those areas, and we have to prioritize. And so how do you do that? And I love to help people bridge the gap there. I use a 3-phase approach to my work that I've been using for the last decade to get results, so that people can move forward with simplicity and ease and flow, because I think that's our birthright. It's to not work hard, to not effort, to be able to play, to be able to be in our essence, and create impact that way, and to trust that we are sourced and supplied always, and to teach people how to do that, how to access their connection with their higher self and their guides, and to be able to get messages that help them find the answers that they're looking for within themselves. So these are things I do, and I call it coming home to your own divinity. But a lot of the work I do also is helping people with the foundations of their business, copywriting and messaging, and really finding what their gifts are and connecting all of those pieces together. So I'm multi-passionate. And if you're interested in gaining clarity, you can find me on all the social platforms as well. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook, not so much. I mean, I'm on there. You can connect with me there, and on my website, and it's all under Lisa DePamplis. Thank you.
Really the full package there, Lisa.
I know.
It's like a one-stop shop. Amazing. Thank you so much. And you're also leading one of the tribes at sacredyou.love, or maybe even a couple.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So we lead them. I co-host the Magical Playground, and I love to use art. I love art. So I love to use art and intuitive art in the work with my clients. And the Magical Playground is all about intuitive art play. And we do meditations, and we do projects. We've made magic wands. We've done so many different things, so many fun projects. And I think there's a video on the Sacred You about all the projects that we've done so far. And we're just getting ready to start back up again this next week. So yeah, join us there. It's super fun.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Deb.
Yeah, thanks. So I am the co-founder of the Wisdom Playground and Coach Training Campus. We work with people who are coaches, healers, wisdom teachers, subject matter experts, people who have that calling to help others transform. We help them with their business. And one of the things I talked about earlier in this session was the Bullseye Express really is a unique way of building a business in this space where you embody a value. And there's a freebie that I'd love to point you guys to, which can be found on coachtrainingcampus.com/Wonderland. That is all about, it's in the theme of Alice in Blunderland, how to stop falling down rabbit holes and find coaching business success. It's a bit of fun. It gives a really practical way to look at how you're building a business and some actual tools to rate yourself. And I would invite anyone who's attracted to learning more to book a time with me for a conversation. Very, very happy to support in any way I can, and especially for those people who care about leading the mental wellness revolution. I'm on a mission to spread love and well-being globally, and we are up to such exciting things. So that would be, well, I would say I'm on lots of socials and all that, but coachtrainingcampus.com/Wonderland is where the freebie is. And I did have one little tip that I didn't mention earlier that I think is worth it. It's one that has helped me a lot. It's the concept of to notice if we're doubting ourselves every time we doubt ourselves, to actually laugh. Now, when I first did that, I laughed all day, but that was cool too, right? But it's a fun little way to just lighten up that whole doubt and imposter syndrome. So leaving you with that. Thank you so much, Jennifer, and everyone on this panel.
Thank you so much. Yes. And similar to Lisa, really getting to the core essence of who we are. That's what I like to do too. I'm on a mission to guide the destiny of souls into their most empowered way of being. And I feel like there's a lot more focus that needs to be placed on becoming who we are, and really feeling that fully, really getting to know ourselves really, really well. And then what we do is just an expression, a byproduct of that. And we get to radiate our light out into the world in the best way. And so I'm so grateful for being able to share this time and these alignments with you all that have been watching and listening and here in the Zoom room with us. So grateful for you all. And I'd like to open it up if any of our guests in the Zoom room have any comments or takeaways. We'd love to hear from you in the chat, or you can come on and speak to us. Hello, Stephanie. Do you want to share anything?
Yeah, actually, I will for a moment. I first wanted to say thank you to Kevin for inviting me on here. I have been in a state of just receiving a lot of messages, if you will, and so much of this has resonated with me today. And I'm just very grateful to have met you ladies. And yeah, I'm just a sponge right now.
That's awesome. I'm so glad you're here, Stephanie. And thanks, Kevin, for inviting her. And I see this is such a great place, too, to be able to connect. And I'm seeing chats here going on between a couple of the panelists as well, just, really sharing the good vibes and the connection and the alignments and supporting each other's work. And that's what we love to do here at sacredyou.love. And you'll find a lot here. So make sure you check out the website as well. And I'll just go around and see if there's any final words before we head out for the night. Anybody can come off their mic. Everyone said what they want to say. Lisa.
It's a journey, it's a journey, and it's not you're reaching a destination. It's like you're on the journey, and the riches are in the journey. And so don't discount anything that comes your way. It's all good. It's all for you. That's what I want to share.
Love that. Thanks, Lisa. I saw you come off the mic too, Kevin.
Yeah, it's just, Lisa, that was a perfect share. It is a journey. And, one of the things for me is just to keep showing up. Sometimes, we have 100%, and most of the time we don't. Sometimes we have 20% or 5%. Just show up with whatever that we have and keep doing that. Keep taking those little baby steps. And by the time you stop and turn around, you realize how far you've come. And sometimes it feels like you're going nowhere, but it's just not true. So continue to show up with whatever you have. I got goosebumps thinking about it. So
yeah. Awesome. Well said. Thank you so much, Deb.
I would like to add to that, just keep on loving yourself, each other, the world as much as we can. Focus on love rather than the fear, and ask what love would do and let that guide us.
Awesome. Tiba, did you have something too you wanted to share?
I did. I just want to first give honor to Sacred You. Thank you so much for having me as one of the panelists. That means a lot to me. But my little nugget is from experience, that if you don't do it, somebody else will do it. And then you'll get the opportunity to see them do it. So just do it first. That way you don't have to worry about anyone else doing it. I promise you will see it if you don't do it. Somebody else will do it.
Yes. Good one. Thank you, Tiba. And yeah, for me, my motto is free your spirit to direct the life that you're meant to live, because you are meant to have the best life, and spirit will lead you there. Your energy, your passion. Sophia, who's the co-founder of sacredyou.love, do you have any final words for us?
Just absolutely thank you. Thank you for you, Jennifer, for a wonderful panel. I've been sitting here listening, and thank you for all our incredible panelists. I mean, truly wonderful. Imposter syndrome, a lot of people don't even realize it, and then it's like just going into it and how we can overcome it. So all your wisdom is amazing. I've been putting all your links in the background, so for people who are watching, do click on the links and connect with these wonderful panelists who have given an hour of their time to share their wisdom and their tips and stuff on overcoming this thing called imposter syndrome. And great to meet you, Stephanie. Glad you could join us. And yeah, wonderful. Check out, we've got another one coming up in 2 days. Can't remember what it's called, but 2 days. Do check that out and click on the links below. Check out Sacred You. As Jennifer said, come and join us just for $1 Australian. Come have some fun. Thank you, Jennifer.
Thank you, everyone. It's been such a pleasure.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Sophia.
Thank you.
Everybody. Panelists, wonderful. Nice to meet you, Kevin. Tiva. Great
You
to
as
see
well.